Hey, everybody, it is Tony George from DocSports.com. He's Griffin Murphy, also from DocSports.com. Welcome to the Gridiron Six-Pack again. Glad you tuned back in. 66% against the spread year-to-date with this show picks. That's 6 a week, folks. It's 5-1 last week, and looking forward. We're back hungry for more. We're still hungry. We're ready to get after it, baby. We're having a good time on the show. We appreciate you tuning in. All kinds of free play videos to it, Docs. Be sure and smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. You get notified when this show is up or any other show that Docs has in its arsenal. A lot of guys doing free pick videos. I mean, you're here for freebies, right? We'll get notified when there's another freebie. And we got the free $60 for you in the link in the description below. In the upper left-hand corner of the website, there's a tab that says free 60. That's exactly what you get. A free $60. No strings, no hassles, no phone calls, no super lock of the millenniums, none of those, so be sure and get over. They're 95% of the only thing that costs money on the website is picks. If you don't want to buy picks, there's so much content and information over there that will help you make better decisions. Survivor pool picks. I mean, soccer. I don't do soccer. I protested when my kids played soccer. I wouldn't go to the games. I love my kids. No way. Soccer happened to be on college football Saturday. I lived in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I had season tickets to the Husker. Sorry. It was a priority decision. Got to go down to the stadium. So one of those deals, folks. Nonetheless, Griff, how you doing, buddy? You ready to go?
Oh, I'm absolutely ready to roll, Tony. Always.
There you go. Well, guess what? You're going to roll in here to some college football here. The Washington State Cougars headed down to UCLA. Washington State 4-0. Griff, I saw these guys, I think it was week 0 when they played Colorado State. And there were a lot of guys out here in Vegas and on VSiN and on local radio talking about how great Colorado State was going to be this year, how great of a defense these guys had. They were catching like 6.5, 7 in that game, as I remember. And people were pounding. Washington State went through them like a hot knife on butter. Ward, their quarterback, against Oregon State, who was a ranked team and a good team. Don't put any stock into Washington State beating up on Oregon State, thinking Oregon State's no good. They're good. Ward had 418 yards running and past the ball with 5 TDs. And, of course, UCLA's had a week off to think about the meager 7 points they put up against Utah in a 14-7 loss. Washington State, this total has skyrocketed from 54.5 open to 59.5. And Washington State sitting as a 3.5-point underdog on the road playing out there in LA. What do you think here, Griff?
Yeah, Tony, rolling into this game, Washington State, I want to talk about Jake Dickert, the head coach for this team. Coming off a 7-6 2022 season and now rolling in 4-0. And like you mentioned, Oregon State, this is no easy freebie team. They gave them their first and only loss, and Oregon State has been put to the test, and they are a legit team right now in this Pac-12. And then when you look even deeper right now, we've already taken out with Washington State a Big Ten team like Wisconsin. So Washington State has already put themselves through the test and have proven they are a dynamic football team. Cameron Ward at the helm, quarterback. This guy is as good as it gets. He is elusive. I want to say he has 13 touchdowns this season, 0 picks. He's passed for over 1,400 yards in the air. Their run game is outstanding with Watson in the backfield. Their pass game, they have weapons across the board. Offensive line is phenomenal. Where they slack a little bit is on that defense. But having said that, the amount of tempo that this offense runs with Washington State, their defense is on the field the majority of the game because of how fast they move the ball. So when you go to this game, yes, looking at UCLA, they're coming into this game 3-1 right now, coming off a loss to Utah. And we know Utah, they have a phenomenal defense. Going at this game, my key eye out in this game, Dante Moore is the quarterback for UCLA. He's also a gunslinger. He's very good. But they rely very much heavily on their run game. They have a huge run game. Their offense is very sound. Their defense is very sound. But where my eyes kind of really caught edge in this contest is looking at UCLA's defensive coordinator with Deontay Lynn. This guy used to be the Ravens safety coach back before he started with UCLA in 2022. Right. And that is somebody, and Tony, this is something we always talk about. He is somebody that is going to definitely be prepared for this game, especially against a guy like Cameron Ward, who absolutely airs the ball out all game, early, often, and quick. But, Tony, coaches don't play in this game. How many times do we have to say it? So when I'm looking at this game and breaking it down, Washington State has been put to the test every single game thus far, and they have prevailed, to say the least. So, Tony, looking at this game, I'm taking Washington State outright to win this game and beat down on the UCLA Bruins. Rolling into this next game, Tony, we've got at noon on Saturday, October 7th, and this is probably going to be the college football game of the weekend. We've got the number 3 ranked Texas rolling in, laying 7 points against Oklahoma. This game is in Dallas, Texas. The total is currently 60.5 points. Last season, Tony, Texas beat Oklahoma 49-0. Texas is coming off a 40-14 win last week over Kansas. Quinn Ewers coming into this game with 10 touchdowns and only 1 pick against Oklahoma with QB Dylan Gabriel. And this happens to be probably right now, statistically, he is the number 1 best quarterback in the nation. So 2 head quarterbacks head-to-head, 2 undefeated teams rolling at it right now. Tony, what is your take on this game?
Well, first of all, this is a Red River War. This is a game that if you are a college football enthusiast and you don't go to in person, this is a bucket list game. I've been 5 times to this game. I used to live in Kansas City, Big 12 guy, Lincoln, Nebraska, Big 12, Big 8 guy, Big 12 guy. But I had a brother-in-law live down in Dallas, and I would go down every year. For 5 years he lived there. We go to this game every year. It's an unbelievable college football experience in Dallas, in the old Cotton Bowl. You know, this, that, and the other. It's split right down the middle. Nobody from Texas is selling their ticket, and nobody from Oklahoma is selling their ticket. And this stadium is divided by a fine line right down the middle. And other than last year's, and this is, by the way, this is the last time they ever play the Red River War as Big 12 foes. So this has got a lot of special meaning going on. And you've got the who's who of college football playing in this ball game. Now, 49-0 last year. Robinson, you know, who's playing for the Falcons now, ran all over Oklahoma. It was embarrassing how bad it was. It was like a game like the Dolphins and the Broncos a couple of weeks ago. They just motorboated them up and down the field. That being said, other than that, the last 4 years before that, this game was won by 8 points or less. Now, if you go to numerous websites that do power ratings, and I do my own power ratings with algorithms and a database that I built, but I also compare those power ratings on a weekly, almost daily basis against other power ratings that I respect. And there are 2 outfits that have Oklahoma ranked the number 1 team in the country in power ratings. Texas is 5th or 6th. Now, I have this as a 2-point favorite for Texas. That's where I've got this one sitting at. I'll tell you what, right now, I really think that Gabriel is as good as yours. I think this is a good Oklahoma football team. You take a look at some of the matrices and the numbers, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They don't lie. And bear in mind, Texas looked good last week against Kansas in the second half. Kansas's quarterback didn't play in that game. He's a rock star quarterback. Daniels was out. They're going to see a different team this week. I think this goes right down the wire. The total's 60.5. It would not surprise me, Griffin, to see both these teams in the 30s in this ball game. Really wouldn't. It could easily be maybe a 35-28 game, maybe a 35-31. But at the end of the day, give me the Sooners. And by the way, I'm a Nebraska alumni. I hate both these teams with a passion you cannot believe. All those years in the Big 12, all those years in the Big 8 with Switzer and Osborne and Elvis Peacock and the wishbone attack. Bosworth. I hate Oklahoma and I hate Texas, but I never thought I'd say this. Boomer Sooner this weekend, folks. Let's switch gears here. Let's switch gears here and go to Notre Dame at Louisville. Now, this game interests me on a couple of different levels, Griffin. The Falcon has heard from the Falconeer in the immortal words of Gordon Gekko in Wall Street. That means that Louisville called back their favorite son, Jeff Brom, to coach this team from Purdue, and he's got him sitting at 5-0. I have a big season win total ticket on Louisville. This was an 8-win team last year that brought back 14 starters. Now, these two have a common opponent in North Carolina State. I'm sure you know that as you did your research. Obviously, Louisville struggled against them, and Notre Dame beat them up like a redheaded stepchild. But I found this one interesting stat as we look at this game because Notre Dame is laying 6.5, and the total currently updated is 54.5 in this ball game. But I found this stat that's as interesting, and I know you've already got your pick, but this one here, Notre Dame against ACC opponents, the last 29 games have won all 29 straight up, and they are 21-8 against the spread. Now, the question here is, Griff, what do you think? Because Notre Dame, they've had a brutal schedule, and I'll tell you what, how full is that tank going on the road down at Louisville, who may have been looking ahead a little bit last week?
I mean, you said it right there, Tony, and that's the biggest thing is this Notre Dame team has not had it easy by any means this season, and their schedule gets tougher and tougher going down the line. Right now, they got
USC on deck. They got USC on deck, dude.
It gets tougher and tougher. Their schedule is not easy by any means. Do I think Notre Dame is out of that college playoff portal? Absolutely not. The way that this Notre Dame team has switched the script this season, they are phenomenal. And the pickup on Sam Hartman, everybody questioned that move, the 5th year going in. Why are we going to get a new quarterback? Well, I think it's paid off. The kid's tossed for over 1,400 yards. He's got 14 touchdowns. He's thrown 0 interceptions. This Notre Dame team is 5-1 right now, and their only loss is to Ohio State on a goal line stand, finishing game touchdown with 0 time left on the clock. And they ended up losing that game 17-14. That was the explanation to say, hey, Notre Dame is legit. Sam Hartman at the quarterback spot. Their offensive line is dynamic, and they are not afraid to throw 2 tight ends on that offensive front and play smash mouth football. And that is exactly what I'm kind of looking for in this game. Louisville sitting here, hey, we're top 25 ranked team now in the country. Why aren't we getting any noticeability? What's going on in this? Well, the thing is, Tony, Louisville hasn't played anybody ranked yet this season, let alone anybody tough. Their hardest game they've played thus far is against NC State. Going into that game, they were losing 10-0 at half. They had to come back and win that game in a 13-10 final. So, yes, they are 5-0. They are leading the ACC. They're doing a phenomenal job, but they haven't been put to the test. And the last thing that I want to key out is quarterback Jack Plummer for this Louisville team. He's a good quarterback. I'm not going to say he's a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. When he's on, he's pinpoint. But when he's not on, he's a disaster. He's a head case. Not emotionally on the field, but in his own head. He's already got 6 picks this season. And this has kind of been a consistency throughout his career. And when you come in, or when you have a Notre Dame team coming in, Fighting Irish, coming into your home turf, and if you are trailing against this team and you've got the fans behind you and you've got a head case at the quarterback spot with Plummer, it could turn disastrous. I am anticipating that Notre Dame brings pressure on that defensive side all game long. And I'm also anticipating a heavy run game. And if Louisville does step up to the plate on that defensive line, well, you've got Sam Hartman and weapons across the board in that wide receiver core. Tony, you mentioned that it was a 6.5 spread. I've got this thing down to 6.5 or 6. I've got Notre Dame winning this game by a touchdown. My play's going with Notre Dame -6 or 6.5, whatever you guys can grab it at. Flipping the script, though, Tony, rolling into the NFL. At 1 p.m. Eastern time, October 8th, we've got the New Orleans Saints clash head-to-head with the New England Patriots. The current line, the Patriots are laying 1.5 points, total 39.5. Right now, New Orleans is rolling into this game 2-2 on the year after getting completely rolled last week to Tampa in a 26-9 loss. Does Carr fit this offense? I'm still undecided. And then you look at New England. They're rolling in at 1-3, brutal start to the 2023 season. You've got Mac Jones. He's already tossed for 5 touchdowns, but he's got 4 picks. The run game's been atrocious, and his Patriots team is currently 30th in points per game in the NFL. They're averaging under 2 touchdowns per game. Tony, what is your take?
Well, this one's easy here, and let's flip. Talk about flipping the script. New England went from -1.5 to +1 today at home. Now, bear in mind, folks, we're doing this video on Wednesday, so these lines we're giving you, if you're watching later in the week, are stale. That's why I tell you to tune in on Wednesdays. But that being said, totals also jumped up from 39.5 to 40. 2 things. Then I'm going to get out of here. Who's going to score? Both quarterbacks suck. Both offenses suck. There is no run game. You look at all the stars that the Saints have. The wide receiver position. Alvin Kamara, one of the hottest commodities in the fantasy sports market.
Absolutely.
Carr is above average quarterback. This team is broken. On the other side of the coin, the New England Patriots, breaking headline, Matt Jones sucks. He's terrible. So, give me under 40 in this ball game. First guy to 14 wins. Then, since we got New England +1, Belichick is a hell of a lot better coach than Allen. Give me the Patriots in a teaser +6. Put them with somebody that you like. Maybe this next game in Houston. I don't know, because that's where we're going next. Houston off a monster win against Pittsburgh last week. Atlanta coming home, tail between their legs after eating some Yorkshire pudding and a lot of crow in London against Jacksonville. Hey, I gave Jacksonville to you on the show last week. I said that Atlanta sucks. Ritter's not a quarterback. Well, I'll tell you what, C.J. Stroud just might be a quarterback. I got this stat today, eating lunch here in Vegas, watching NFL Network. C.J. Stroud is the first rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL to throw for 1,200 yards in his first 4 games and 0 picks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Texans rolling into this game here, hot. Is it a trap line in Atlanta -2, total 41.5? Griffin, talk to me, brother.
That was the craziest thing, Tony, is that's the initial thought I had. Is this a trap line game? Looking at Houston, so I had that play. That was one of my premium picks over at Docs last week. I had the under in that game, and I watched every second of that Houston-Pittsburgh game. And let me tell you, did Houston look dynamic? C.J. Stroud, yes, his completion rate was not phenomenal. I believe he was just over 50%, but he passed for over 200 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, and he looked outstanding. He was disciplined in the pocket. He knew when to burn the play. He knew exactly how to manage this offense. And from a rookie, the way he looked was outstanding. And I want to talk about this offensive line that opened up the floodgates for Dameon Pierce. I mean, their offensive line completely bulldozed over this Pittsburgh defense. Their defensive line looked brutal. Houston across the boards looked phenomenal. Offensively, CJ Stroud was ridiculous. Dameon Pierce in the backfield, he had all the room on the field and more to run. He looked great. The wide receiver core set. Defense was even better, Tony. Their defense was unbelievable. The whole game, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, crap, is Pittsburgh going to start scoring points now? What's going on? They couldn't move the ball. They looked completely terrible against this Houston team. And now you've got a team like Atlanta who just got exposed. As you mentioned on last week's show, Tony, you even came at me. You're like, I don't know why everybody's so hyped and big on Atlanta. They suck. Well, Tony, I think that exposure came out in last week in London when they lost 27-3 against Jacksonville. Jacksonville lit them up, and now they've got the jet lag. Flying all the way back home from London, you're rolling back and you're at home. There's some comfort, but you've got a young team. You've got Ritter at quarterback. He's a young kid. Your running back, who is supposed to be the load for this team, he's also a rookie. So you are playing with a very, very young offense. And when I'm looking at this game, the way that Houston handled that Pittsburgh team, and now Atlanta, now they're on a 2-game losing streak after getting completely blown out by Jacksonville, I can't fade this game whether it's a trap bet or not. Give me Houston and the points, Tony. That's my play. Rolling in, though, to our last, but definitely not least game. October 8th, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time, we've got the New York Jets traveling to Denver to face the Broncos. The Broncos are coming off their first win. They're laying 2.5 points in this game. The total is 43.5. Both New York and Denver head into Sunday 1-3 on the season. New York heads into this game with the 31st ranked offense in football, averaging under 275 yards per game. And their defense has not been much better. Denver picking up their first win from last week against Chicago, who is the worst team in all of football. I don't care what anybody says. And their coach sucks. They blew that game. Denver also has the worst defense in all of football to this point, ranked 32 in yards per game. Tony, what is your take? How do they come about this against a struggling offense with this New York Jets team?
I said it last week, and I'll say it this week. I said it in that Denver-Chicago game. Take the over. What happened? They exploded.
I love how easy, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you again this week. Over 43.5. Tell you what, right now, they got it going. Kansas City's got a very good defense, and they were able to move the ball on Kansas City there as the game progressed. Wilson looked a little better quarterback for them. They're going to get their running game going. No one's going to be able to stop Breece Hall. On their side of the coin, if you take a look at the game from a matchup perspective, the New York Giants are better at almost every position except quarterback. They are. They're better. Give me better running back. Oh, you got Judy. No, I got Wilson. You know, you can go down the list of guys, especially in skill positions. The Giants defense, better, but they're going to be up there in the altitude. I like the over 43.5 in this one. Very simple. Jets catching 1.5. There you go. I got a winner chicken dinner. Go ahead and take Houston, tease them up to +8. Do the Jets, tease them up to +7.5, and then throw New England in there at +7 for a 3-teamer. Why not? Have some fun with it. Have some fun with it, folks. That's what you're here for.
Speaking of having fun, Tony.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. And I apologize. But listen, I do have to recap on last week. We made a deal, Tony, and I'm going to let you know right now. I like my steak medium rare, and I like my tequila chilled with no chase. Just so you know, Ravens, Cleveland, that one was mine, Tony. You got to give it to me.
Well, yeah, I'll give it to you. And by the way, who texted you 10 minutes before the game started going, by the way, Watson's out. I want out of the bet. Nobody knew a game time decision. And by the way, you owed me already, so now you're even. So now you gotta dip your big cojones in the pond again on another wager one of these days with me, and we'll have some fun with it. Folks, have some fun yourselves. Get over to Doc Sports this weekend. Free $60. Link in the description below. Tab on the website. Link above. And, of course, I also wanted to give a shout out to our producer, Jeremy, my boy Jeremy, who produces this show behind the scenes. Guess what? He's going to go up and see our beloved Kansas City Chiefs play the Vikings this weekend up in Minneapolis. So he's going to be up there cheering on our Chiefs. You know, he probably going to, you know, truth be known, he just wants to see Taylor Swift in the suite. That's for sure.
No.
But nonetheless, get over to Doc's this weekend. I'm going to make this short and sweet. I went unbeaten 4-0-1 last week in the NFL. I'm going to have a 7-unit top play this weekend on Sunday, and we're going to stay steady and low volume in the NFL. College football, last couple of weeks, I took a step back. I'll tell you one thing about college football this weekend right now, folks. And it just was evident on this show. This is going to be an underdog weekend in college football. There's going to be a lot of dogs barking and a lot of them biting. And other than the Notre Dame pick on the 3 picks we gave you, we talked about 2 underdogs. So, folks, bear that in mind. I'm locked and loaded, ready to kick butt and take names. I'll have at least a 3 or a 4-pack, and we have a Friday night game for you as well in college football. Griff, what's on deck, buddy?
So, yeah, Tony, I'm actually coming off a pretty big weekend myself. I nailed both my college football 6-unit best bet, and I nailed my NFL 6-unit best bet. I capitalized on a 3-1 NFL weekend. Very good. So this weekend going out, I have a little bit of more of a creative slate this weekend. I actually have a first half play going out. I have 3 plays going out in the NFL slate, including a 7-unit that I absolutely love. I found a lot of edges in the odds makers this week, and I'm looking to capitalize big. I have 3 plays in the NFL slate. One of them is going to be a total, and then I have 2 other plays. And then on the other side for college football, I have 3 plays going out as well. I have a 6-unit best bet as my top play, along with 1 total play. So I have 6 plays going out throughout the weekend, fired up, ready to go. I love the lines. I love the action. I'm ready to go. Tony, take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Griffin Murphy. I'm Tony George. And don't forget, we also have the Major League Baseball playoffs going on. The NHL starts on the 10th. I'm off a 60% plus regular season last year. NBA around the corner as well. Doc Sports, we've got you covered. Free $60. Tons of free information. 10 other handicappers over there besides Griff and I. We got a consensus service over there that texts you picks. We got your butt covered this weekend. Go over there, get some winners. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week right here on the Gridiron 6-Pack. Thanks.